Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the podcast for Toronto Realtors. Today we have the number one agent in Toronto, Cailey Heaps. Cailey, thank you so much for coming on to the show.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So I want to start out by listing a few things that would be on your resume. First off, you're consistently doing hundreds of deals per year. If my research is correct, you are the, like I said, number one agent in Toronto in terms of units sold. You've been recognized by the Women of Influence Plus organization, the RBC Canadian Women Entrepreneur Awards. You were inducted into the Hall of Fame, the Royal LePage National Chairman's Club Hall of Fame. As well, on the charity side of things, you do a lot of work for charity, notably the Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation, Ovarian Cancer Canada, Sick Kids Hospital, and Interval House. A lot of things that we've just kind of jam-packed into that quick 20-second segment. Of everything that you've accomplished in your career and your life, what are you the most proud of?
That's a really good question. I would say my children, and I know that's so cliched, but we have an unconventional family. I'm divorced. I'm a single mom, and I've raised 3 kids who are strong and independent and smart and pretty funny too. Professionally, what I'm proud of is my team. I would say I've built a team of amazing humans, and I love watching them soar. I take great pride in watching them build out their businesses and achieve their own goals. And everyone is fed by something different, but if we can help them solve for their why, then that feels pretty good.
So how do you go about identifying each agent's why and leveraging that to get the best out of them?
Talk to them about it. What motivates one person is not going to motivate the next. We have a fairly strong female team. And when I say strong, I mean predominantly female team. And a lot of those people have come back to the workforce after raising children. And it's really interesting and very rewarding to watch how hard they work to build their own career and their own reputation, having not been in business for a decade or more. So I love watching that. I love the men in our team too. Their why is oftentimes different. Everyone's why is different. And my why changes, I would say, quarterly. My motivation is different at different points in the year. So I think it's conversations, talking, understanding what pushes the team collectively and individually.
What do you mean your why changes quarterly? What does that look like?
My motivations are different. I can have a son who lives in Hawaii, and it could be that in one season, my motivation is for him to be strong and happy and healthy. And it could be that the next season, my why is I want to be number one in Toronto. It varies based on my life forces. It could be my personal life and where my partner is at any moment in his life. So I would just say that it changed. My underlying why is I want to see my team win. That never changes, but my personal why can change. What's your why?
That's a good question.
In the morning.
My family, honestly. I know, again, when you said it sounds like a cliche, but that is really it. I think I'm of the opinion that I don't want to sound intense, but nothing really matters when you have a family except for your family. So everything that we're doing day to day, you could care very much about the work that you're doing, and there's things to love about it. But the presence of a why that's greater than everything else that you're doing kind of puts everything into perspective. So for me, my why is to create a lifestyle for my family where they know that they can accomplish everything, where they have everything that they need, but even more than that, they learn everything that they need to learn to become the best versions of themselves in the future. That's for me.
When I was just away with my kids last week, we were talking about gratitude, and I said one of the things I'm most grateful for is freedom. My kids were like, "What do you mean freedom? You're not imprisoned?" And I was like, "No, freedom of movement, freedom of thought, freedom to win." I have a lot of freedom in my life, and that is something I'm immensely grateful for. I've worked hard to build it, but I think that we can be a little bit broader in our thinking than we sometimes are.
Did they understand or relate to what you meant when you were talking about freedom?
Absolutely. Yeah, I have very open conversations with my children. They think I'm a lunatic, but I'm kind of okay with that. But they understood. Absolutely. Yeah. And it can get, my youngest daughter is quite righteous in her thinking, and I'm very proud of that. So I think, she would say, literally there are girls my age who are being forced to marry people in other countries, or who are being physically attacked, or, I think freedom is such a broad word, but it is something as Canadians and as successful business people, I have immense freedom in my life.
Right. I find, kind of going back to what I was saying before and why I asked this question, if they related, is I think there's a saying that tough times make strong people make good times make weak people make tough times. So it's kind of like this cycle. So as much as we as parents just want to give everything, the world and more, to our kids and to our family, we also don't want to handicap them in the same vein.
It's such a disservice. People need to understand and appreciate the value of hard work. I hate if my kids are offered a participation award, they know they're not allowed to take it. ever. Like I'll literally throw it in the garbage, but they won't even bring one home. They know better than that.
I think it's innate, honestly. Like, I don't even think that has to be taught.
I don't know. There's a whole generation of people who got through life with participation awards.
Do you think it feels good for them?
I don't know. I mean, my kids would die of embarrassment before they hung a participation award in their room. And I'm not trying to, not everyone has the same physical capabilities. Obviously, there's a time and a place to celebrate people showing up when it's not easy for them. I'm not diminishing that, but in real life, for people who are able-bodied and able-minded, you don't get awards for showing up to your job. You get awards for winning and for showing that you're working hard. So I think that's the mindset that I've tried to build into my children is, there is literally no point in doing something unless you're going to give it your absolute best. Doesn't mean you have to win, but you've got to try.
Absolutely. What's one thing you wish more people knew about you?
Oh God, I'm a pretty open book, so I feel like people know a lot about me. I think that people who meet me are often surprised. I'm very, very down to earth. Like I'm a very authentic person. I've had immense success in our industry, which is great, and I'm immensely grateful for that, but it doesn't change who I am. It doesn't make me a better person than the next person in line. I said I'm not saving lives. I may be changing lives, but I'm not saving lives. So yeah, I guess I'm humble and authentic. What do people know about me? I grew up in the Caribbean, so I've got a love of the Caribbean. And outside of family, I'd say probably my greatest joy. Outside of family and friends, I'd say my greatest joy is travel. Like I'm a very enthusiastic nomad.
Do you think that there's a gap between, I know you said that you're an open book, but do you think that there's a gap somewhere between the version of you that people see and the version of you that is the real you?
I think that what you're really asking me is, do people perceive me to be different than who I am? And without question, I feel a giant target on my back many days in our industry. Unfortunately, we work in an industry where people like to create stories that are perhaps not accurate and say things that perhaps aren't kind about other people because they feel they need to win. I just don't really engage in that behavior. I think that anyone who has paid attention to me in my career would know exactly who I am. I don't have a mask. They would understand exactly who I am.
What did you do before real estate?
So I had a circuitous route to my success to real estate. So I actually dropped out of high school when I was in grade 12. It was back when there was a grade 13. I didn't intentionally drop out. I left at the end of grade 12 thinking I was going back, but then I got a job running an events team for a beer company and I loved it. So I just stayed on and did that. After a couple of years, I thought, you know what, to be successful, I really do need more education. So I went back to my high school and said, I'm not coming back to class, but this is what I've been working at. Can you give me credits for what I've been doing? And it was a bit of a battle, but they spoke to my employer and they said yes. So they gave me the credits that I needed. And then I went to a transfer college in BC and then fundamentally went on and did a Bachelor of Commerce with a major in marketing and a minor in psychology. I worked in advertising after graduating from university and I liked it. I sort of always joke that I was born with like marketing in my blood. It's my passion, but I didn't like the industry. The industry, there wasn't a ton of loyalty. People were changing shops all the time. And my mom was a real estate agent. She didn't have like a company per se, but she was a really good and successful independent real estate agent. So I came to work for her as an unlicensed assistant, and I thought I would for a year. And at the end of the year, she said, you know what, you're pretty good at this. Why don't you go get licensed? So that was 25 years ago. And from there to now, well, since 2010, our business has grown by about, 200%, something like that. And it's been organic growth. We've grown from just my mom and I up to about 60 people. Yeah, it's fun. I love it.
So I want to get into that growth a little bit. By the way, I just want to mention before I forget, my background is actually fairly similar to yours. I didn't drop out of high school, but my professional start was in advertising. I worked in some Toronto agencies and I kind of left again. Like, I think I liked the work, but I don't think I liked the industry so much. And I was kind of ready to use that as a skill instead of a career.
Interesting.
So it sounds like there's sort of a similar story there.
Similarity there. Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully, as I progress along my story, it kind of continues to be similar. I become the number one in whatever I'm doing in a city. That'd be pretty cool as well.
That would be great. Yeah.
So I did a little bit of extra research besides for just the numbers. And I know that most people listening to this will have at least some semblance of an idea of the quantity of work that you're doing, both in terms of units and volume, although even that I'm not entirely sure. But what they may not know is that not only are you selling so much, but you're selling listings about 50% faster than average agents and for more money. So if you were doing 5-7 transactions a year, I think that's easy to explain. You're doing over $300 a year and 300 transactions per year in every single price point. How are you able to maintain a quality of work among such a large array of business?
I'm surrounded by people who are pros at what they do. I have an amazing team of experts. We all understand what our strengths are and play to our strengths and support each other. I'm competitive. As a leader of the team, I analyze the market constantly and we brainstorm as a team. Like, how are we going to sell things? Who are we marketing to? My marketing team is, in my opinion, the best in the business. They're phenomenal at what they do. And we invest differently in our listings. There's economies of scale when we're doing, so your numbers are good, but we actually last year did over 500 transactions and about 800 million in transactional volume. Those things don't always catch everything. Sell at that volume, there's economies of scales. We can invest differently in our listings to ensure that they are selling faster, whether that means having in-house PR, having a 6-person marketing team, having DSAs, so dedicated sales assistants who can manage the back end of everything so we can focus on actually selling, proactively selling. I think one of the issues that agents run into, and it's so common, is they're expected to be experts in everything they do. And you can't be. There's no such thing as being an expert in everything you do. And they get bogged down in the day-to-day of running a listing, whether that means picking up flowers, dropping off a lockbox, doing paperwork. We have to structure a team that we run business for each of our agents, and they just sell. Go meet your clients, sell. Meet your clients, sell. Build business. So, you have to understand who you are in the business. I know my job is to feed my team. I want to be a team leader. But if I was an agent who just wanted to sell, I wouldn't work as an independent agent because really then you're running a sole proprietorship and that's not working to your skill set if you don't want to lead a team or lead yourself. So I think it's understanding and having awareness. I sort of jumped a question ahead perhaps, but I think we work really hard for our clients and we invest differently would be the short answer.
Yeah, hard and smart, right? Like you're delegating the right things as well.
Yeah, I've had a lot of success in this industry. And people say, oh, what do you do differently, blah, blah, blah. I think the number one thing that I do differently is I work way harder than most people. I'm an absolute workhorse.
I want to point out something I've noticed in a lot of your answers. This is sort of a chicken and egg question. Originally, when I asked what are you the most proud of, and you said first off your kids as well as your team. And then I asked, what are you doing that's kind of making you as successful as you are? And then the first thing that you did is you gave the credit to the people on your team. I know that if you want to go fast, go yourself. If you want to go far, go with others. Is it that, would you attribute your success to the fact that you first off pour into other people and through them comes the success? Or you became successful, other people came along, and then, which came first?
I think mindset and work ethic is essential. So when I started working in this business, it was never about beating someone else. It was never about having a target on another agent's back. It was just, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to do a good job. I want my clients to feel like we've won collectively. Through that, there was organic growth of the business that required me to grow a team. And through growing a team, I've recognized that one of my greatest joys is seeing other people win. I love that. So I think work ethic mindset is first, and then you build to that once you've built the business. I just started doing coaching, not in real estate, like a CEO type coaching. And one of the things I learned about myself, which was interesting, is that my largest percentage of leadership style, so 91% of my leadership style is leading through love, which is really unusual in many ways, but I truly take joy in being with the people I work with every day. And we have a tight team. We've had people on the team before who weren't the right fit from a culture perspective. And we had one person who was quite gossipy and I just fired them right on the spot. It's just not an environment I want to work in. It's not an environment I want my team to be subjected to either.
Do you think that there's a style of leadership that is more effective than others? Or do you think that whatever your style of leadership, just be the best and people will follow?
Yeah, birds of a feather flock together. I'm not going to be the right leader for everyone. That's for sure. In fact, my former partner leads a real estate team and I would go and meet with his team. And at the end of it, he'd be like, you know what, you're so good at what you do, but you suck for my team because I lead a team of super macho men. I don't resonate with those guys. They're like, whoa, get rid of the crystals away. And let's just go pound some doors and then lift weights. It's just you got to figure out who your people are and make sure you have a leader that inspires you. And if you don't, then change. There's nothing wrong with change. I love change. I seek change in my life. I think that's the other thing. I'm quite risk aggressive, which leads to success. And I'm not scared of change. I understand my job is to solve problems for people. So when people come to me with problems all day long, it doesn't cause me stress. That's literally what I'm being paid for, is to figure out solutions.
How do you go about figuring out if a change is a pivot or you're quitting because the grass is greener and things just got hard?
The grass is never greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it, where you invest your time and your mindset. So I'm not really a big believer in that grass is greener concept. How do you know whether you're investing your time? I mean, track it and see if your sales are changing. If you're doing like beta test it, if you do A versus B, which one's increasing your revenue?
Well, let me just clarify there. I think a lot of the time agents are concerned that when they feel like they want to change, let's say even a change of career, but more likely a change of brokerage, I think the fear is, okay, things got tough and maybe it's time for me to pivot. Maybe it's time for a change. Or, you know what? Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I just need to do better, work harder, whatever it is. So how do you know which
That
way
is
it
a
is?
very good question. So I think the first thing I'll say to anyone who's listening, this is the worst market I've ever worked in a 25-year career. The Toronto real estate market is challenging right now. I think that before you jump ship, you have to have a very honest conversation about yourself is, are you showing up and doing the best you can do? Are you working to build your funnel? Are you working to connect with people and sell real estate? It's very easy for people to sit back and say, oh, it's a market issue. Oh, it's a brokerage issue. Oh, I'm not getting the support I want. No one's going to make you successful except for yourself. There might be people who can help push you to success, who have skills and tools that can get you there. I'd like to believe that we do that for our agents. But fundamentally, that person still has to show up and do their job. So I would say that most of the time, the issue lies within.
What have been some examples of what people would call a failure that you've experienced in your business?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think of failure. I would say areas of opportunity or areas of learning. I think every time I failed, it's been such a great opportunity to learn something. Where have I failed? I mean, I've certainly hired some of the wrong people over the years. I think that there have been times in my career where I didn't have boundaries, so I took on more than I really should have and burnt myself out. We've always grown, so I don't know that we've had any growth failure. Like year after year, we always grow. So I wouldn't say that that's an area for us. I don't know. I think just the things I've touched on.
So let's look at the first jump that you had in your business. Like you said, I mean, every year it is growth. What was the first jump that you made in growth, and what did you have to do differently? Who did you have to become to make that growth? To make that jump?
That was understanding that you're better. Understanding everyone's highest and best use is important. Where I add the most value to my clients is through pricing, selling strategy, and negotiation. So the more I can do that, the more I can create revenue. So how do you free up time to do that? It was my first hire. I hired an assistant who could take on all the paperwork and back end stuff that I don't get joy from doing that. It doesn't provide me with any joy, and it certainly doesn't change the needle on our sales. So once I could free up time to sell more, that was like a pretty pivotal moment. And then my next hire was a licensed assistant who could help me with the selling side, whether it was buyers or sellers. I mean, she's now my top agent, killing it in real estate. She's been with me at 13 or 14 years. So I think it's knowing you're going to hit a pace where you say, oh, I understand where I can make more money, but I need to take these things off my plate to do that. So hire for the things that you don't get joy from or that don't create revenue, and focus on what drives revenue and what you get joy from.
Is there an identity that somebody has to take on to make that jump?
I mean, you have to be willing to take on risk, right? You have to be willing to say, I believe in myself, and I believe that if I pay that person 50, 60, 80, 100 grand, that I can more than make that through having more time to focus on my revenue generating activities.
If you could add one thing right now to your business that would have the most dramatic impact, what would it be?
Hunters, agents who hunt, agents who are going to get out there and hustle.
Would that always be the answer?
No. We're just in a market where there's opportunity. I mean, we already kill it in marketing. So if you had asked me 15 years ago, the biggest game changer is marketing. But as an individual agent, to invest in marketing is sort of like burning your money, because you're never going to have a big enough spend to compete with us or like the bigger brands, right? So it really depends on where you're at in your career in terms of what advice I would give. If I was a sole agent starting out, I probably wouldn't invest. It's going to take hundreds of thousands of dollars to build an identity in real estate. So I probably wouldn't do that. I would just work my network and get business through referrals.
So now for you, you've got to the point where it kind of circles back to the beginning, where obviously you don't have to go out and hunt, but you have to find people that are hungry at the beginning.
I absolutely hunt. I hunt every day. I have a team to feed. Business development is like my number one thing I do. Every single day. I wake up in the morning knowing that I have a team to feed. And if I'm not out building business, I can't expect them to do something I'm not willing to do. That's not fair. So if my team's willing to show up and hunt, I better be willing to show up and hunt. I got people to feed every single day. And I want my team to be happy and busy and fulfilled, which means I got to jump in with them.
I love that. So what does hunting look like now, and how does it look different from when you started?
It's different for everyone. For some people it's door knocking. I've never once knocked a door in my life. I would literally pass out if I had to. I don't cold call, but for some of my team it's cold calling. I built a lot of business from doing open houses. I did open houses every weekend for like the first 10 and 15 years of my career. And the number of leads that I converted to clients through open houses was massive. Just showing up in my social networks. I'm very, very lucky that I have like a rich, and I don't mean financially, I mean rich, like amazing humans in my network. And I'm not speaking to their wealth. I'm speaking to rich in personality, in people I love spending time with. And just by spending time with them and them seeing how motivated I am and how great my team is, that they start to spread the word about, oh, so-and-so selling, you should call Cailey or call Cailey's team. So I think it's just being present in our communities. And once you have momentum, the market sees what we do. Like, as you said, we sell listings 50% faster than anyone else. Who wouldn't want that? Put me up against someone and tell me what they have to offer that we don't have. And I would love to understand it. It's really funny. I have this mindset. If ever we pitch a listing and we don't get it, I actually feel like genuinely sorry for the client. I feel like you just cost yourself a ton of money. Commission's a big conversation. I don't discount commission, nor do any of my agents. So I'm like, okay, so you're going to save half a point on commission or a point in commission. And then in the negotiation, it's going to cost you $200,000. That seems like great math. I really believe that our team kills it and that people should see the value that we bring to the table.
So when you started out, you were hunting through open houses. Is that still what hunting looks like for you?
For me, no, it's hanging out with my network, having conversations with business leaders, creating opportunities through my networks. I haven't done an open house in years.
What's next for you?
That's a really good question. So I'm at an interesting stage in my life. So I have 3 children. I have one at home half of the time. I have one in Hawaii and I have one in the Maritimes. I have someone I'm spending more time with who lives in Europe. I have a business that is valuable and I occasionally get approached about it. But I think for me, it's, I still feel a deep commitment to what we're doing. I really want to help my team navigate out of this market, which is difficult. And I want to continue to grow the business. I really, really believe in our model.
So I want to ask you 2 more questions before we close out. If you were to build your Mount Rushmore of your 3 greatest rules for success, either in life and or business, what would those rules be?
Be honest with yourself. I think people tell themselves stories every day. Work hard. Just work harder than the next guy. And find joy. Like, I would say I have more fun pretty much every day of my life than most people. I laugh constantly. I might be a little bit of a lunatic, but I really extract a ton of joy from my daily life.
You said it a couple of times. What do you mean when you say you're a lunatic?
I just think it's fun. People take themselves so seriously. I think chase fun, do the thing that other people might not do, say the thing, dance in the kitchen, do whatever it is. My kids think I'm probably a little bit too unrestricted, too open. I think it's fun. I think it's great. I have real conversations with people constantly. I don't do anything illegal. I don't do anything disrespectful to others, but I think just chasing fun and creating opportunities in your day to laugh with someone or connect with someone. And whether that means, as I said, I spend a lot of time in the Caribbean. There's a whole group of people there who call me DJ Pinky. It's not that I'm an actual DJ, but I'll show up at the party. I have a pink phone case. My nails are typically pink. I got the tunes going. People start dancing. It's just fun, Everything I do with extreme commitment and passion.
So advice 2 and 3 were all about living life to the fullest. The second one was about working hard. If you're going to do something, do it right, go all in. The third one was find the joy in things. The first one was be honest with yourself. Why did that make the list?
Because I meet people who come into our industry and they think, okay, I'm going to kill it in real estate. And I think, okay, but have an honest conversation with yourself. Do you enjoy talking to strangers? Do you enjoy working nights and weekends? Is that something that you're okay with? Are you okay when your kids are having a school play and you can't get there because you're in the middle of a deal? These are real conversations to have. Otherwise, you're not going to enjoy it and you're not going to succeed. You're not going to succeed at something that you don't love. People think that real estate is easy money. It is not. It is a very, very, very difficult job. And if you do it well, you're well compensated. If you don't, or if you don't have luck, I'm not going to say luck because it's not luck, but if you don't create opportunities, you're going to be in the wrong gig and you're going to hate it. So I think just be really honest about what feeds you and what you want to do. And chasing money isn't going to lead to success in real estate. Working hard and focusing on outcomes will lead to success. I couldn't tell you what I made this year. I have no clue. It's not my focus. I like showing up. I like feeding my team. I like feeding my family. Obviously, I'm lucky to be at a point where I don't have to think about that. But if the drive is money, I can guarantee you that that is a drive to this failure.
It's almost like your rules are sequential then, where it's like, first off, be honest with yourself about what you want. When you know what you want, go all in and work as hard as you can. And also make sure that that doesn't consume you and that you make sure to find the joy in the in-between moments.
Yeah.
Okay, and as a final thought, this podcast obviously is for Toronto real estate agents, but I find that the agents that get the most value of it are the agents that are already successful, but they're stuck. So maybe they're at about 10 transactions, they're trying to get to 25 plus. If you could give agents like that have seen some level of success but want to scale and they want to get to the next level, if you could give them one nugget, what could they start doing today that would be a game changer?
Ask for the business. Go into your database and your past clients and ask for the business. Ask for referrals. See what you can do to help people. Build through the people who have already shown that they trust you and have invested in you. It is much easier than knocking on a door.
When do you know when it's time to ask for the business, and when do you know when it's time to just show up and provide value and without asking for business?
I think you don't have to be like, it's not literally calling someone and saying, hey, I need you to support my business. You know, I've always gone above, and my entire team goes above and beyond for our clients, whether that means providing the name of the best caterer in Toronto or a painter or banker or whatever it is. And then, you know, they say, oh, wow, you're really connected. Like, you can do anything for us. And it's saying, yeah, we love to be here for our clients. And the greatest compliment that you can give me is referring me to your friends and family. Like, just be authentic, be real. Don't ever do anything with the hope of getting something out of it. Do it because it makes you happy. And then people will feel that.
Cailey, thank you so much for your time. We're out of time. I feel like I could talk to you all day.
Thank you.
I hope it's okay. I'm going to be posting your information on the podcast description below. So anybody listening to this who wants to get more wisdom, more insights from Cailey, please check out the description below, and I will see you on the next episode.